Michael Jordan surprised a retired teacher on her birthday. Her reaction was caught on camera. It was a quiet Monday morning in Wilmington, North Carolina. The sun broke through the windows of the Oakview nursing home, casting a soft glow on the pale blue walls. Miss Hattie Reynolds sat near the window in her wheelchair, blanket over her knees, sipping her lukewarm tea. She was turning 90 today. "Happy birthday, Ms. Reynolds," called out Darnell, a young nursing assistant with a crooked smile and sneakers that squeaked every time he walked the halls. She smiled faintly. "Thank you, Darnell. You remembered." He grinned. "Of course I did. Big day. You ready for your party?" "Oh, honey. At my age, the only party I need is one where I'm still breathing." They both chuckled. Despite her light humor, something lingered behind her eyes. Memories, maybe. Or a quiet ache she never spoke of. Every now and then, she'd mention a boy she taught in 3rd grade, a wiry thing, always bouncing, couldn't sit still to save his life. His name? Michael Jordan. Darnell had heard the story enough times to repeat it himself. "You know, he wrote me a thank you note when he signed with the Bulls," she had once said proudly, though she never showed it to anyone. "Told me I was the first person who ever told him he could be great." Darnell didn't know if it was true. But something about the way she said it made him believe her. Over the past few weeks, he'd been trying something. A shot in the dark, really. He'd found an old media contact form for the Charlotte Hornets and sent a message. A simple one. It read, "Dear Mr. Jordan, my name is Darnell. I work at a nursing home in Wilmington. One of your old teachers, Miss Hattie Reynolds, is turning 90 next week. She still talks about you like you're her son. Just thought you might want to know. No expectations. Just figured someone should tell you." He hit send and didn't think much of it afterward. People like Michael Jordan probably got thousands of messages. But still, he hoped. The morning passed slowly. A few relatives had come by, mostly nieces and nephews, some grandchildren who lived hours away. Loretta, her great-niece, was putting up birthday streamers in the recreation room. "I told the bakery no fondant." "She hates that stuff," Loretta whispered to Darnell as they brought out the cake. "Good call," he replied. "She's a no-nonsense woman. Always was." Back in her room, Ms. Reynolds leaned back in her chair, eyes closed for a moment. She wasn't sleeping, just thinking. Her mind drifted to her classroom in 1969. She could still see the chipped chalkboard, the smell of pencil shavings, and that boy with the gap-toothed grin who wouldn't stop dribbling the ball under his desk. Michael. He'd been difficult at times. Competitive. Restless. But smart. She remembered pulling him aside one afternoon, crouching to his level, and saying, "You can be the best, but you've got to learn how to lose, too." She wondered if he remembered. Loretta wheeled her into the rec room, where family and a few residents had gathered. The cake was lit. Everyone sang, slightly off-key. Ms. Reynolds blew out the candles with a single, sharp breath. Then, the double doors opened. A tall man in a black cap and gray hoodie stepped in. At first, no one noticed. Then one of the aides dropped her phone. It hit the floor with a loud crack. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. The man slowly lifted his head. No one said a word. Ms. Reynolds squinted. Her eyes focused. Her mouth dropped open. "Michael?" The voice was faint but sure. He stepped forward. No press, no entourage. Just him. He smiled, the same way he did on magazine covers years ago, but softer now. "Yes, ma'am." She reached for his hand, trembling. He dropped to one knee beside her, took her hands in his. "My goodness," she whispered. "You came all this way." He nodded. "Couldn't miss this." For a few moments, the room was frozen in time. No one breathed. Darnell pulled out his phone, not to interrupt, but because he knew this was a moment the world needed to see. Someone whispered, "Is that really?" He turned. "Yeah. It's him." Tears ran down Ms. Reynolds's cheeks. She wasn't someone who cried easily. But this was different. Not because he was famous, but because she remembered who he was before the fame. "You were always my favorite troublemaker," she said. He laughed. "And you were the first person who told me I was more than just fast." A quiet awe rippled through the room. Phones were raised, pictures taken, but respectfully. No one got too close. Darnell caught MJ's eye for a moment. A simple nod of thanks. MJ nodded back. No words needed. Later, after the cake was served and the crowd thinned, MJ sat beside Ms. Reynolds as she opened a few gifts. He didn't speak much, just listened. She talked about the kids she taught, how the world had changed, how proud she was of all her students. When she paused, MJ said, "You know, I still have that letter you wrote me when I made the All-American team." She turned to him, surprised. "You do?" "In a box. With my dad's old Air Force badge and my first game-worn jersey. I kept the things that mattered." Ms. Reynolds didn't reply. Her eyes welled up again, and this time, she didn't try to hide it. "You made me believe," he added quietly. "Before the coaches. Before the scouts. You." For the first time that day, she looked tired. But it wasn't from age. It was the weight of emotion, the kind that can only build over a lifetime. "You always had it in you," she said. "You just needed someone to remind you." As the sun set, the two sat there, hands folded over each other's, the birthday music long gone, the chatter replaced by stillness. Outside, the SUV that had brought him waited with the engine running. But Michael didn't move. Not yet. And in that moment, nothing about championships, sneakers, or fame seemed to matter. Only this. The student had come back. And the teacher was still watching. Michael stayed for hours after the party ended. Most people thought he'd just drop in, take a few photos, and leave. But he didn't. He stayed with Ms. Reynolds until everyone else went home. Darnell brought them tea. Loretta gave them space. The two sat quietly, talking between long pauses like old friends catching up. "I still remember you chasing Ricky Turner with that ruler," Michael said, chuckling. "He tried to cut in line during lunch." "I warned him," Ms. Reynolds replied, cracking a smile. Michael leaned back in his chair. "You didn't play favorites." "No, I didn't," she said firmly. "But I saw something in you. You were raw, restless, but you had fire. That fire almost got me kicked out of school a few times. Which is why you needed someone to check you. And you listened, eventually." He nodded slowly. "You were the first adult I didn't want to disappoint." They fell into another silence. Not awkward, just full. The kind that didn't need filling. Later that evening, Darnell found Michael in the staff lounge, sitting alone. He hesitated, but MJ motioned him in. "You're the one who sent the message," Michael said. Darnell nodded, a little nervous. "I appreciate it." "No problem. Just thought she deserved something special." Michael looked down at the floor. She did. There was a pause. "You play?" Michael asked, gesturing to Darnell's sneakers. "I used to. High school point guard. Got hurt sophomore year. Never bounced back." Michael nodded slowly. "That's tough." "Yeah," Darnell said, then laughed. "But now I break up bingo fights and refill pudding cups. So, it's not all bad." Michael grinned. "You got a hoop around here?" "There's a busted one out back. Cracked pavement. Net's gone. We don't really use it." Michael stood. "Let's go." Darnell blinked. "You serious?" "Dead serious. Let's see if I still got it." The two walked out back. The air was cool, the sky just turning purple. The court was in bad shape. Weeds in the cracks. No lights. But the rim was still there. Michael found an old basketball near the supply shed, flat but usable. He bounced it once, grimaced, and passed it to Darnell. Your ball. Darnell hesitated. All right, game to 7? Michael smirked. Old man rules. 1s and 2s. They started slow. Darnell took the first shot, missed. Michael grabbed the rebound and moved like he had in his early days. Not flashy. Just smooth. Still had it. 2 points in. Then 3. Darnell found rhythm and scored twice. He was quicker than he looked. MJ started to sweat. He wasn't 20 anymore. They laughed, traded jabs, and shot under the dim sky. Ms. Reynolds watched from her room window, barely able to see them, but smiling just the same. Score was 6-5, MJ's lead. Darnell drove hard to the basket, MJ stepped back to block him, and winced. He stumbled, then dropped to one knee, grabbing at his side. Whoa! You good? Darnell ran over. Michael took a breath. Yeah. Just a cramp. Or maybe my body reminding me I'm not 30. He stood, slowly. Darnell helped him up. We can stop. Michael waved it off. Nah. I'm good. But maybe let's just shoot around. They did. No more keeping score. Just shot after shot. Quiet, steady. No crowd. No pressure. Just 2 men on a cracked court behind a nursing home. Eventually, they sat on the bench, both breathing heavily. You ever miss it? Darnell asked. All the time, MJ said. But I miss this more. This? Just playing. No lights. No headlines. Just the sound of the ball and the net. Darnell nodded. That's the part one missed too. Michael leaned forward, elbows on knees. You still love the game? Yeah, Darnell said. I just don't know what to do with it anymore. Michael looked over. You ever think about coaching? Maybe. But who'd listen to me? Michael smirked. Kids don't need perfect coaches. They need real ones. You've been through something. That's what they need. Darnell didn't answer right away. He stared at the old rim. I wouldn't know where to start. You just did, Michael said. Back inside, Ms. Reynolds had dozed off in her chair. Loretta pulled a blanket over her. Michael returned later, gently tapping on the door. She stirred awake. Still here? She asked, her voice dry. Still here, he smiled. She looked at him, eyes soft. Why'd you really come, Michael? He paused. Because I never got to say thank you. Not properly. She blinked slowly. You know, people always ask me about my best coach. They expect me to say Dean Smith or Phil. But I always think of you. That's kind, she said. It's true. You taught me more than anyone. And not just about being good, but being better. Her lips trembled. You were a good boy. I tried. She looked down. I never had kids of my own, you know. But you were one of mine. He reached out, squeezed her hand. Still am. They sat like that for a while, the room still. Before he left, she motioned to the drawer beside her. In there, she said. The letter. The one I never sent. He opened it. Folded yellow paper, carefully preserved. He read the first lines out loud. Dear Michael, no matter what happens, don't forget who you are. The world will tell you who to be. Don't listen. Be you. You are already enough. He stopped reading. Looked at her. You kept this all these years? I wrote it when you made the All-American team. But I didn't want to bother you. Figured the world had you now. He shook his head. The world doesn't own me. You were the reason I didn't get lost in it. Ms. Reynolds smiled, eyes heavy. Michael stood. I'll be back soon. You'd better be. Outside, Darnell waited near the SUV. Michael approached him. You free next weekend? Depends. I'm having a youth camp in Charlotte. Want to help out? Darnell blinked. Are you serious? Michael nodded. Yeah. Let's see what you can do with some kids. Darnell nodded, stunned. I'm in. They shook hands. No more than that. The SUV pulled away as the sky turned dark. Back in her room, Ms. Reynolds stared at the ceiling. She whispered to no one in particular. He remembered. And for the first time in a long time, she slept without pain. 3 weeks had passed since the birthday surprise at Oakview Nursing Home. The video of Michael Jordan walking through those double doors, hugging Ms. Reynolds, had gone viral. Millions had watched her reaction, equal parts disbelief, joy, and love. It had been shared on sports networks, morning shows, and even made the front page of the Charlotte Observer. But for Michael, the moment wasn't about going viral. It was about closure. And beginnings. At his private estate outside Charlotte, he stood in the backyard, phone in hand. He stared at a photo, Ms. Reynolds and him seated side by side, her hand resting gently on his. He saved it as his lock screen. Not a game-winning shot. Not a trophy. Just her. He tapped a number on his phone. Darnell, he said as soon as it connected. You still good for tomorrow? Yeah. Got the day off. You still want me to meet you at the camp? Yep. And bring sneakers. You're not just watching. Darnell chuckled. Got it, Coach. The next morning, they met at a renovated community center in Wilmington. Michael had quietly paid to rebuild the old cracked court behind Oakview. But this was more than that. It was now a proper youth camp facility, outfitted with clean bleachers, fresh paint, and a court named the Hattie Reynolds Court. It was Darnell's first time seeing it finished. You did all this? He asked. I just wrote the check, Michael replied. You'll be running the place. Darnell stared at him. Wait, what? I meant what I said. These kids need someone who knows what it's like to fall and stand back up. You're that guy. Darnell blinked. I'm not a pro. Neither was she, Michael cut in. But she changed my life. The doors opened and kids poured in, some shy, some bouncing with energy. Boys and girls ages 8 to 14. They recognized Michael immediately and gasped. He waved, posed for a few photos, and introduced Darnell as head coach. While Darnell organized drills, Michael walked the sidelines, nodding, smiling. He didn't need to be center stage. He was there to honor someone who never asked for attention but gave everything. After lunch, he gathered the kids for a short talk. You all want to be great, he said. And that's good. But you don't get there alone. You need someone to push you, to believe in you even when you're not ready. I had that. Her name was Ms. Reynolds. He pointed to the large banner above the court with her photo and name. She didn't teach basketball. She taught discipline. She taught how to lose with grace. How to stand tall when things fall apart. That's what makes you great. The kids clapped. Darnell gave a subtle nod from the back. That evening, Michael drove to Oakview alone. He didn't bring media. He didn't even tell the staff he was coming. He walked in quietly and made his way to Ms. Reynolds' room. But it was empty. Lights off. Bed made. A nurse nearby noticed him standing there. Mr. Jordan, she said softly. He turned. Is she okay? The nurse hesitated, then stepped closer. She passed away 2 days ago. Peacefully. In her sleep. Michael didn't move. He just stood there, eyes fixed on the empty bed. She was holding a photo when we found her, the nurse added. You and her. From the party. She looked happy. He nodded, cleared his throat, and thanked her. She handed him a small box. She asked for this to be given to you. Said you'd understand. He took the box and walked outside. In the car, he opened it. Inside were only two things: the original thank you letter he had written to her as a teenager, and a cassette tape. It had a label on it, written in her careful cursive. MJ, 3rd grade interview. Curious, Michael went home and dug out an old cassette player from a closet. It still worked. He pressed play. Static, then a young voice, his own. A young Ms. Reynolds asked, "So, Michael, what do you want to be when you grow up?" A pause. Then his small voice answered, "I want to be the best basketball player ever." "And what if that doesn't happen?" she asked. Another pause. "Then I'll still be someone who tried his best." Ms. Reynolds' voice responded, "That's the answer I was hoping for." The tape ended. Michael sat in silence for a long time. The next morning, news broke that Michael Jordan had purchased a scholarship fund in Ms. Reynolds' name for future teachers in North Carolina. No press conference. No long statements. Just a small announcement. In honor of Ms. Hattie Reynolds, who taught greatness before anyone else saw it. Back at the court, Darnell ran practice. Kids dribbled, passed, missed shots, and laughed. After practice, he gathered them around. "You know, legends aren't just the ones who score. Sometimes they're the ones who see the future in a kid who can't sit still." He pointed to the banner again. She saw it. A few days later, during the official dedication ceremony, Michael gave a short speech. Nothing fancy. No prepared remarks. "I've scored a lot of points," he said. But none of that would have happened without Ms. Reynolds. She didn't care about trophies. She cared about who we were becoming. And I never forgot that. He unveiled a bronze bench next to the court with a simple inscription. To Ms. Reynolds, who saw greatness early. The crowd applauded. Michael stepped back. No tears. Just a smile. He sat on the bench after everyone left, watching the sun dip behind the court. Kids still played. Darnell coached from the sideline, shouting encouragement, correcting footwork, high-fiving them all. Michael leaned back and whispered to himself, she'd be proud. He looked up one more time at the banner hanging over the court. Then he stood and walked away, not looking back. Because he didn't need to. She would always be there. In the words. In the court. In the kids. And at every bounce of the ball.